We
You're
have
building this up, Jeff.
we have Jeremy Warren, we have Melanie Purkis, we've got Michael Frisby, and we got Stravros Samiotis. I get so close every time. I just can't. I can't say the Greek names. I'm trying so hard. I say it with a Spanish accent. It's terrible. So, and they're all here to talk about kidnapping the cloud, and it's a fascinating topic. So let's talk about it, shall we? All right, Louis, I didn't mention your name.
You forgot me.
I apologize. And everybody, special warm welcome for Louis Casagrande. Yay!
He's got his fan club in.
All right.
No pressure.
Louis brought his fan base. That's great. I appreciate that. Wonderful. Okay, so kidnapping the cloud. Okay, security, right? Security in cloud and in hosting environments. And we have a little slide deck. We have a slide and everything. Oh, looks. Yeah, that's us. Put us up here. There we go. See, it works. It's great. So we're going to dive right in because this is a complicated topic, and we're all kind of concerned about it, right? So I'm going to dive right in and start by saying there's an old joke in the industry, right? What's the cloud? The cloud. What's the cloud? Cloud's somebody else's computer. It's somebody else's computer, right? It's hosting. That's right. But cloud admins, they tend to disagree with this, right? But let's go around the table. We'll start over here with Jeremy. We'll work our way that way. Let's talk about what is the state of preparedness when these people look out. You got people from all over the industry here. What is the state of preparedness in hosting and cloud providers today? Jeremy, what you got?
Very commonly, 20 to 40% of the sites that we see are infected with some kind of malware, ransomware delivery.
And hold on, back up. 20% of the sites that do what?
We commonly see 20 to 40% of hosted websites that are actually compromised, hosting some kind of phishing website, web shell, ransomware delivery site or whatnot, generally unbeknownst to the hosters, generally unbeknownst to the actual domain owners. So when you think about how much badness is out there that's not being seen and dealt with every single day, because they're purposefully designed to hide, those are paths into hosters, and those are absolutely the way that they're attacking everybody else in the rest of the industry.
Wow. Michael?
So I'm probably slightly different here. We used to run a host exchange business across Europe. We recently transitioned all of that into Microsoft 365 and into Azure. And so when you look at the preparedness of a Microsoft, they invest billions into security within their cloud. But I think that the issue isn't necessarily at the global hyperscaler level. You've got the issues with the resellers. Microsoft's right now got a really massive problem globally around Azure hacks.
Azure hacks.
So Azure subscriptions that don't have MFA turned on are being brute forced and turned into crypto mining factories. And we've seen it where an Azure subscription will go from a few £100s per day to tens of thousands of pounds per day.
That's pretty easy to make a penny in crypto if somebody else is paying your power bill.
Exactly.
All right.
And if you've not got MFA turned on, Microsoft's not going to pick up the tab. They say it's your fault. So it's a real big issue. You talk to any of the execs in Microsoft. So it's a really big issue, and it comes down into the channel or into the customers not understanding that. So they think, I'm in the cloud, so I'm secure. But all those responsibilities that we've always had of looking after that infrastructure, making sure it's secure, putting the right processes and controls around the solutions you're delivering, they exist in the cloud as much as they ever did in your own hosting environment.
Oh, Melanie?
Well, to build on what you guys have said too, I think a lot of what we see as a hoster is there's so many different levels of ways that compromise can come in, and we find that, kind of like you just said, well, we think if we have this, we're covered. But in reality, you've got all the way down to it's an old plugin on my WordPress site, all the way to it's a major hole in the network. I mean, there's such a wide range, and you have to have different solutions and plans for every type of compromise that can come through because they're not all the same, yet they're all basically, they can all cause the same amount of hurt, just in different ways. So that's one of the big challenges right now is identifying all the different ways that these attacks can come in, and then girding the customer's systems against them and explaining to them what the difference is between this type of a hack and that type of a vulnerability. So,
You know, when you mentioned that the problem with somebody having an old plugin, I think I heard Robert Jacoby grind his teeth in the audience. All right, so Louis,
Yeah.
what do you think the state of preparedness is?
Well, for my customer, they are not prepared. I agree with my colleague that almost every site can have vulnerabilities and is somehow compromised by a web shell, by an old plugin that can be exploited. But also, we are not prepared as hoster, I think, in the industry, because we are not trying to empower our customer with knowledge. We are not everyone is offering the right tool to solve the problem. So we need to prepare our customer. We need to give them the knowledge and the tool.
Wonderful. Now, let's finish the round. Go ahead, Note. Yeah, Stravros.
All the previous people totally covered almost everything. But what I have seen since in Interworks we work with a lot with IT companies that are distributing through us, and they have a lot of customers. Recent events and recent scenarios that happened in Greece, we saw that more than 50% of the end customer have absolutely none plan what to do if disaster strikes. More than 50%. So even though that the resellers are telling them, do that, this or that, apply Acronis or whatever, they say, okay, I will do it. It's not for me right now. It's not going to happen to me. And then disaster strikes. So as my colleague said, we need to educate more, all of them, to be prepared.
All right, so now you heard a lot of agreement between the panel, right? And you almost wish there'd be a little bit more friction because you want panel to be a little bit more aggressive, but they all kind of agree with each other. And it's truly an international panel. So now that we know that they all have the same problem, let's find out who they are, what their companies are about, and where their companies are located. And Stravros, you start with you. Tell us about interworks.cloud.
Okay, Stravros Samiotis, as you saw. I work for interworks.cloud. In Interworks, we have two different pillars. One is we built a platform that Miltos presented a few minutes ago. You can manage your cloud and your business as an IT seller to have everything in place. And the other thing we do is we provide to our customers, our partners, Acronis solution, the whole range of it, in order to be able to be prepared for the backup, for the disaster, and the rest of the products we now have through Acronis for all the security.
And you're based in Greece.
And we're based in Greece, but we operate in whole Europe.
Wonderful. Louis.
Yeah. I'm Luis Casagrande with RackOne. We are based in Italy, and we also operate in Europe. And we are offering from dedicated server to VPS, the standard service that everyone offers. But we are now more focused in cyber protection. So through Acronis, we are delivering to our customer the cyber protection that they need, and we are making bundle with our services. So, and also training. We are offering training to our reseller because the end customer not always have the right, service from the reseller, because the reseller does not have all the knowledge that he needs. So we are there to give them the knowledge.
Melanie.
So we're based out of Lansing, Michigan. also San Antonio, Texas, and we're obviously a managed hosting company. See, but we actually offer similar kind of to you is anything from the range of we've got the standard dedicated servers, VPS, that sort of hosting, but we also offer managed applications. So we have managed WordPress, WooCommerce, Magento, and then on the opposite side of the what we do for you, Spectrum, is we have a really solid VMware product offering as well. And it's been really interesting to not only figure out all the different, like I said, all the different security vulnerabilities that are in all these different types of products and all the different types of workloads, but to also start figuring out what can we use that covers the same problem across all of those platforms, so that we don't have 55 different security products that are all doing the same thing, and finding the commonalities and capitalizing on that for the customers. So,
Michael.
Right. So Michael Frisby, I run a business, lead a business called Vuzion. We're a born in the cloud value-add distributor. We started that business 6 years ago. Recently got acquired by Infinigate, who are a Panamera cybersecurity distributor. So my role is how we take like Microsoft, Acronis, Mimecast out across the 30,000 odd resellers that Infinigate have within their portfolio across EMEA.
And where are you based?
I'm based in England.
England. Good. Jeremy.
Jeremy Warren, I'm the CEO of Monarx. We're an anti-malware company. We focus on securing websites. And the world of website security is particularly different than a lot of other things. We specialize in that. It's, when you have your front doors wide open for lots of people to come and transact with you, it tends to be a little bit more challenging problem to make sure that only the right people are doing the right things. So we're happy to be working alongside Acronis and helping to secure the world, not just for the service providers, the hosters, but also those end site owners and their visitors as well, because these are paths in to cause all kinds of damage in lots of different ways.
And where are you based?
Salt Lake City, Utah. Our team is spread across the country and the world.
Right. Well, I kind of emphasized the locations for a reason, right? Because the answers we're talking about here, it's truly a global problem, and it affects. We could have hosting and cloud providers from Asia Pac or South Africa. We could put anybody up on the stage, and a lot of the answers would be the same. The state of preparedness is actually very, very low. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit in the abstract, and there's a reason for that. And I'm going to start by telling a personal story. I remember back when I worked for a hosting company, about 12, 13 years ago, and back then, ransomware wasn't the big demon. The big demon was DDoS. That was the big demon. And holy mackerel, I mean, it doesn't matter, okay, I didn't have the firewalls configured. It doesn't matter why. I didn't have the firewalls configured properly, or there was somebody didn't like the company we're hosting and that decided to make our lives difficult. All the reasons didn't matter. When a DDoS attack occurred, everybody, all of us shut down. The whole thing, I mean, 100% of that company, I was in marketing and communications. Even I'm involved just managing the problem. I've seen these people who've cried blood, sweat, and tears trying to get everything back up and running. So I have nothing but empathy for it, right? Nothing but empathy for these people. So if we talk about specifics, right, we're not going to mention company names, because all those of us in the industry, we'll start with this question, the whole audience. Who knows, personally, don't say the name, who knows of a hosting or cloud provider who's been taken down by ransomware? I see 18 hands, right? We all know these people, right? Nothing but empathy. And sometimes you hear about these things and sometimes you don't. So we're going to kind of anonymize it a little bit. So that said, with that in mind, what keeps you guys up at night? I know what keeps me up at night. And, Melanie, you guys are 100% managed hosting. You give white glove service to your customers. What keeps, security-wise, what keeps you guys up at night?
That. What you just said. Because it's not just about all hands on deck to solve the problem. It's also all hands on deck to how do we talk to the customers about what just happened. And
Yeah.
how do we either assure them that one-off, or how do you assure them that we've added X to make sure this doesn't happen again? But also then, a lot of times it isn't just attacking and taking down a network or data center, it's taking down multiple people's sites on multiple servers. And so you've got all hands on deck to restore sites from backups. And so that's really that's what keeps us up, is just, it isn't just the resources to patch the hole, so to speak, it's all the remediation after the fact.
No. Lewis.
First, losing the data of the customer, obviously, but losing the data is not by a ransomware attack only, but also data exfiltration. The problem, it's a real problem. So we need to ensure that the data of the customer is safe, but also how can we relate to the customer if an event strike? So if there is a problem, how can we relate to the customer?
Yeah. Again, getting back, customer. All right, I'm noticing a trend. Stravros.
What we have done inside our company, and we advise all our MSPs and resellers to do, is build a business continuity, a resilience plan in order to have what to do if there is an issue. And these issues can be anything. It can be a DDoS, it can be a ransomware, it can be a physical disaster. And by using the right tools, and Acronis is one of them, it's the major tool, to be prepared in order to have it up and running. And by having this already, I can sleep at night.
Michael.
I touched on it already. I think the thing that keeps me awake is Azure hacks right now. We've seen 3 specific examples across our 600 odd resellers in the last 6 months, and how quickly that level of spend and consumption can be ramped up. There's some incredibly sophisticated attacks out there. We know it's a global problem.
It's surprising because Azure and AWS, their charging scheme is so fair and even-handed and easy to understand. I'm shocked. Oh, was that an editorial comment? I didn't mean it as that.
It's easy to understand. It's, as somebody described it as software as a hostage the other day, rather than software as a service. But no, that for me it's the amount of money that can be so quickly consumed and wrapped up, and so making sure we put the protections in place, the processes in place to spot them when they're happening, that we can trigger and make sure that if we see those spikes in consumption, we jump on them straight away to make sure they stop happening and protect our business and protect our resellers' business and their customers.
Right. Jeremy.
Yeah, for me, it's just attackers. It's changed very significantly. We're also, we'll talk about one later on, but we're in a world today where very organized criminal groups, other people have been talking about it throughout the other presentations, ransomware as a service, malware as a service, help desks for bugs in these actual solutions. But then also from the other side, you have nation states that are sponsoring these groups, actually giving them money to go and create these capabilities, saying, go make money out there in the world, and the day may come when I ring your phone and ask you to do something that I don't want to get back to me. And so the idea that the major nation states around the world are also sponsoring these groups, helping them build up the capabilities, sending the best engineers from their institutes out to do this, it's a hard thing. It's a lot of headwinds.
You know what? And that tees me up for an interesting thing, because you are talking about the nation state status, where you talk about the international nature of the problem. Everybody get your cell phones out. All of you. You've all got them. Don't pretend you don't have your cell phone in your pocket. Come on, I got mine right here. We're going to do a quick little poll. All right? Scan the QR code. And what I want you to do is I want you to answer this poll. What is the anticipated global cost of cybercrime by 2025? And I just want you to vote. My panelists want to see too. That's right. Oh, and by the way, you shouldn't have those pictures, sir. Running the poll this afternoon is Dasha. Everyone welcome. Thank you. Thank Dasha for our wonderful poll work. All right, so you've all had a chance to vote. Everybody good? Okay, so the number one answer is $500 billion. $500 billion. Real answer is 10 trillion. In fact, right now, as we speak, that's by 2025. Right now, right, the number is 6.5 trillion. 6.5 trillion right now. Now, let me put that in perspective for you. If cybercrime were a country, it would have the third largest GDP in the world. You don't believe me, do you? It's true. Google me. Check it out. I've got multiple sources that back that up. All right? So 10 trillion, in fact, at $10 trillion by 2025, it's going to be, it's a major global problem, right? Okay.
It's huge.
Huge. All right. Thank you, Dasha. Appreciate that. All right. So now, Stravros, you actually know, you're aware of somebody who's had a problem like this, right? And we're going to keep names out of it because, protect the innocent, protect the victims, I think, in this case. But tell us the story you're aware of.
I'll very quickly tell you 3 cases. One, I just remembered because my colleague over here mentioned about Azure. They had all the system in Azure. They're working fine, more than 2 years, and suddenly, because they are billing passes through us, an invoice appeared, 100,000.
I got $20
for 1 month.
Oh my!
And it went like that in 3 days. And thank God, because Microsoft has missed one small thing, we managed to convince Microsoft to get that invoice back. Otherwise, they had to pay. And if they paid 100,000, they were closing. The annual revenue was 20,000 for this company.
Oh my.
Okay. That's one scenario.
So he just lived what keeps you up at night. That you're describing, right? That's exactly okay. Great.
And that was the small one because there is one case in Greece for 1 million invoice in 1 month. Another case of one company that they had all the data on-prem. ESXi, backup, not disaster. They had backups, they had antivirus, stuff like that. The ransomware went in through a USB stick, probably, as the analyst decided afterwards. They were saved because they had backup. Imagine with what product? and who suggested the product?
That's right.
But because they didn't implement other strategies, it took them 1 week to restore everything. And there was a huge problem because for 1 week, 20 retail shops were not working. They're working by issuing receipts by hand.
Oh my. Yeah.
And another big story was that a case that ransomware went through on a big data center. It took them 1 week to come again working. And in that case, of course, there were all the security system implemented, but because it can happen to anyone, it's like cancer or heart attack.